You won't believe how life can twist your fate when you least expect it. Imagine this: a poor single dad, on the edge of losing everything, sacrifices the one chance he's been waiting for only to find out the woman he helped was the very person who would change his life forever. Stick with me until the end, because this story, it will not only inspire you, it might just remind you that kindness is never wasted. And hey, if this touches your heart, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe, because stories like these deserve to be told. David Miller had been running on fumes for months. He was 32, a single father to his 6-year-old daughter, Lily, and working 2 part-time jobs just to keep the lights on in their tiny apartment. His wife, Anna, had passed away 3 years ago after a long illness, leaving him with hospital bills and a heart still raw with grief. Every morning, he'd drop Lily at the neighbor's, grab a cup of cheap coffee, and hustle from one shift to another. But the dream, the desperate hope, was to land a stable, full-time job with enough pay and benefits to give Lily the life she deserved. Finally, after months of sending applications into the void, he got the call. A prestigious marketing firm downtown wanted to interview him for a junior position. The pay was almost double what he earned combined, and there was room for growth. The interview was scheduled for 10 a.m. sharp on Thursday. David marked the date on the calendar like it was the day the world might change. That morning, he put on his only suit, a bit outdated, the cuffs slightly frayed, and borrowed a tie from his neighbor. Lily hugged him tight before school, telling him, "Daddy, you're gonna get it. I know you will." His chest swelled with determination. This was it. The bus ride downtown was slow, stuck in early morning traffic. David tapped his foot nervously, rehearsing answers in his head. But just 3 blocks from the firm's gleaming glass tower, life decided to test him. On the sidewalk, an elderly woman was struggling to carry a heavy grocery bag. At first, he thought about just passing by. After all, he was already cutting it close. But then, the bag tore open. Apples rolled into the street, oranges bounced onto the curb. The woman stumbled, clutching her chest, her breathing ragged. Without thinking, David rushed over. "Ma'am, are you okay?" he asked, dropping to his knees to help her. She looked pale, unsteady. I think I just need to sit," she murmured. He helped her to a bench, gathered the scattered groceries, and fetched her a bottle of water from the nearest store. Minutes turned into nearly half an hour as he insisted on waiting until she was fully steady and called a taxi to take her home. By the time he sprinted to the office building, sweating and out of breath, the receptionist gave him a polite but firm smile. "I'm sorry, Mr. Miller. The interview panel had a tight schedule. You missed your slot." It was like the air left his lungs. He tried to explain, but rules were rules. Defeated, he walked back to the bus stop, wondering how he'd explain to Lily that their dream had slipped away. The days after felt heavier than usual. Bills piled up. He picked up extra shifts at the diner, trying to push the disappointment out of his mind. But one rainy Friday afternoon, as he was clearing tables, a familiar voice said, "David Miller?" He turned to see the same elderly woman from that morning, only this time, she wasn't carrying groceries. She was wearing an elegant navy suit, her silver hair neatly tied back, and an air of quiet authority surrounded her. "I've been looking for you," she said, smiling warmly. "My name is Margaret Hayes. I'm the CEO of Hayes & Company. Marketing, the firm you were supposed to interview with." David froze. "Wait, you're..." She nodded. "I was walking to a small neighborhood store that morning. My driver had dropped me off early. I didn't expect to nearly collapse, and I certainly didn't expect a stranger to give up his important day to help me. I went back to the office after you left and asked my assistant to find out who you were. But you didn't reapply. Why?" He lowered his eyes. "I figured I'd lost my chance. I needed the job badly, but I couldn't just walk past you." Margaret's smile deepened. "And that is exactly why I want you on my team. Skills can be trained. Character, that's rare." Within a week, David was sitting in his new office, with a starting salary higher than he'd dared to hope. Benefits, health insurance for him and Lily, and a boss who not only respected his work but believed in him. Months later, at the company's annual gala, Margaret took the stage to give a speech. She gestured toward David in the crowd and said, "Sometimes, the best hires aren't found by resumes, they're found when someone shows you who they truly are." The applause was deafening, but David's eyes were on Lily, sitting beside him, beaming with pride. And that's the lesson, friends. You never know who's watching, or how one act of kindness can ripple into the rest of your life. Even when it feels like helping someone might cost you everything, sometimes, it's the very thing that brings you everything. So if this story touched you, give it a like, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe for more stories that remind us of what really matters. Because in the end, it's not just about what you get, it's about who you become along the way. David's first day at Hayes & Company felt like stepping into a different world. The office smelled faintly of fresh coffee and new carpet. Glass walls, sleek desks, and quiet efficiency filled the floor. He was nervous, terrified, even, but Margaret personally introduced him to the